rotation, not just a rotation.
Welcome, friends. We're going to learn about rotations today. And all it is a transformation in which a figure is turned about a fixed point. That fixed point is the center of rotation. And, of course, because we're rotating something, we need to define how far we rotate it by the angle of rotation. Rotations work very much like reflections, except instead of projecting a mirror image over a line, we start with a point or a figure, and then we're physically moving it a certain amount of degrees. We could move this AB 90 degrees, we could move it 180 degrees, 270, all of which have a different effect, which I've shown here. If I started with point AB for XY, then I would, if 90 degrees was the desired rotation, I would switch the A and the B would become negative. If I was looking to make it a 180 rotation, I would take my AB and make both of them the opposite of what they are. Not necessarily negative, but if it was a positive, it would become negative, and if it was a negative, it would then become positive. And then 270, the last one, we're going to switch our X and Y, or in this case, our A and B, and we're going to make the A negative. So you can see these are a lot like reflections, but they come with basically different user codes, right? Okay, so let's try one. First off, I've got my triangle ABC right here, and step one is all I want to do is find out where A, B, and C is. So if I'm looking right here, A is going to be at +3, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's going to be 3, 5. Here comes my perfect handwriting. B is going to also be at +3 and then up 1. So let's put it in the book. +3, +1. And then C is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then up 1, 7. I'm noticing more kids mixing up their X's and Y's. Remember, we are always going left and right and then counting up or down. We are never, ever going 1, 2, 3 and then over this. No. You got to find your building and then you're going to take the elevator, right? Now, step 2, what is my angle of rotation? And this is not something that you're just guessing. This is something Mr. B is going to give you, and in this case, it is 90 degrees. Just keep it simple. So something really, really smart I saw some people doing on their quizzes is saying, well, I know that this is A and this is B. With 90 degrees, I know that AB, again, perfect writing, turns into -BA. And what they did that I thought was so smart was they just labeled their points. Okay, so I know right here that my Y values are going to be whatever the X values are for my original points. So A prime, I know that my Y value is going to be 3, 3, and 7, right? So why not just throw them in there? Just get them over with. There's no mistakes. And now the one you have to be careful with is that this -B, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to be negative. It means that they're going to be the opposite of what they originally were. So in this case, I'm going to take the opposite of 5, which is -5. I'm going to take the opposite of 1, -1, and the opposite of 1, which is -1 again. And again, I know that these all turned out to be negative, but in reality, it's not necessarily always going to be negative. It's going to be the opposite. So now let's graph them. If I take, let me make my pen a little bit bigger. A prime is going to be at -5, 3. So I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boop. There's going to be A prime, very exact science. -1, 3, I got a boop. Oh man, this is just getting worse. -1, 7, boop. And then this should be funny at least. I'm going to draw the triangle. Is that even 7? We did it. I am a genius. And we've got A prime. We've got B prime. And we've got C prime. Notice how A prime, just like a 90 degrees should, switches like that, right? So if I'm starting here, 90 degrees is going to switch like that. So this one, it makes sense that it's over on this side. A starts here, and then A prime swings down 90 degrees. Finally, the last thing that we're going to be talking about in this chapter predominantly is that composition. It's more than one transformation. And so now we know 3 different transformations. We know translation, that's picking it up and moving it. I know reflection, that's where I mirror image it over a certain line. And now we know rotation, where I'm actually rotating it about the origin. A composition is, all I'm saying is that it's 2 different transformations in a certain order. So let's look at one. Here we've got a composition to undertake. So first, let's look at where A, B, and C are. A, B, and C are at -8 and 8. B is at -8, 4, and C is at -4, 4. Okay, first off, it's asking us to rotate 90 degrees. So I'm going to get my pen out. I'm going to say, okay, this is A, this is B. If I rotate 90 degrees like we just did, and there's other rotations, but for some reason I picked the same one twice. I love you, I'm sorry. -B, A. So I'm going to switcheroo, okay? So I know my A's are going to be the same. I get -8, -8, -4. Now I'm going to take the other ones and make them negative. So I notice that all of my B values are positive. So I'm going to go ahead and put my little negative marks in. There we go. And I end up with -8, -4, and again, -4. When I put this on the graph, I end up with -8, 8 would be right here. That one's pretty good. -4, 8 would be right here. Not as good. And then -4 would be right here. And I'm going to connect these lines, and it's going to be perfect. And you're going to be so proud of me. I have A prime, B prime, and C prime. Next up, I want to translate this. So I know I'm going to subtract 4 from all my x's, and I'm going to add 2 to all my y's. And this is another smart thing I just saw students doing. So I get -8 minus 4 is -12. I get -4 minus 4 is -8. And again, it's -8. Then I have -8 plus 2 is going to end up being -6. I get -8 plus 2 is going to be -6 again. And then -4 plus 2 is going to be -2. Boom. Now we can graph this second translation where instead of saying that this is A prime, B prime, C prime, it's now A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. And I get -8, 6 is going to be right here. That's B prime, -8, -2 is going to be right here. And then unfortunately our A double prime is off the charts. So I'm going to put it over there. I'm going to connect the dots in a very perfect manner. Holy cannoli, that one was really good. Now I've got A double prime. I've got B double prime and C double prime. So that would be a great example of what the quiz is going to be like. It's definitely going to have a composition or two and just a straight up rotation. Thank you for watching.